So we just remembered to hit the record button, but you didn't miss anything. So this presentation is the first in a series. The Ministry Grant Review Committee, which is a committee of 10 sisters, wanted us to provide some more information and get us to meet people within the ministries that we're currently doing with FSPA sisters and affiliates. So today's our first one. And the sponsor for this grant is affiliate Mary Ellen Dunford. And she's here today with Julie Palmer, who's from Olivet Mission. So they're going to talk about Olivet Mission, and Mary Ellen is going to tell us why she sponsored this grant and why these ministries are important to her.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for the invitation to be here today. And thank you, sisters, for the support that you've given Olivet Neighborhood Mission over the last couple of years. I've sponsored 2 grants for this organization, one in 2021 and one in 2022. And I was really drawn to this organization because of their concern for food. As you can see, they address the needs of neighborhoods in Cedar Rapids that have food insecurity, and they provide free and healthy food and also programs that provide education and resources that help people find food access. The director of this organization is Julie Palmer, and she has 2 bachelor's degrees, one in recreational therapy, one in English, and she has a master's degree in public administration from the University of Iowa. Julie is a mom to 4 sons. She's married, and she has early ties to FSPA sisters. She attended St. Pius Catholic School in Cedar Rapids. So many, you all know that the Franciscans were very active teaching there and also in the parish ministry. And Julie shared with me that in 5th grade, it was a Franciscan sister who started her interest and got her initiated on playing the guitar. So after so many years, I think it's just amazing that the positive FSPA influence has circled its way back to Julie through ministry grants for Olivet. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you Julie Palmer, the director.
Seriously, I loved my sisters that I got to know. It was Sister Pat at St. Pius, and Sister Rochelle and Sister Carmelita at Regis, because I'm a Regis grad. And it was also Sister, she wanted to cut my hair in 2nd grade because she wanted me to read better, you know. Seriously, I think the seeds were planted in me a really long time ago about social justice issues. And the funny thing is everything that I do now comes back around to what all the roads that I have traveled have come back to understand the clients that we serve. I'm a long time Cedar Rapidian, if you say, leaving only just to go to college and stuff like that. Made the decision to stay in Cedar Rapids because I wanted my boys to grow up and have their grandparents around them. So otherwise it was going to be Colorado, and I'm kind of thankful that I didn't go there. So there's our message. Together we fight hunger. I really believe in the together part, because there's absolutely no way that we could run this ministry. Olivet Neighborhood Mission is part of Olivet Presbyterian Church. It was started in see if I got it. next one. Uh-oh, technical difficulties already. So this is the building. This particular building was built in 1996, so it's been around for a while. It has, it had flooding clear up to its windows in 2008 when Cedar Rapids was inundated with floods. We have been, even though we're under the umbrella of the Olivet Presbyterian Church, we actually are a separate entity because of some of the partnerships that require that we have some secular sort of stuff. So that's the really separate building. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the programs, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about exactly how you guys have helped. All right. Oops. All right. So we have the largest food pantry in HACAP's 7-county jurisdiction. And it's kind of interesting the way food scarcity is really a big, big thing. But if you look at the landscape, it all started probably 2005, and it's just kind of ramped up and gotten worse and worse and worse. The interesting thing is in this 5,000 square foot building, we have distributed almost 1 million pounds worth of food in 2021. I know, a lot of milk, a lot of milk. So in our food pantry, we also have what is called a kitchen pantry. This is our kitchen pantry. Our kitchen pantry basically is that stuff that's fresh and perishable. This is the stuff that we allow everybody to come every day for. So part of the reason why we have a kitchen pantry, which is different than a lot of the other communities and a lot of the other food pantries, is the fact that we serve a significant population of homeless and transient neighbors in our community. Cedar Rapids last count had close to 500 homeless. Okay, we have about 125 that actually live on the street 24/7, 365. Okay. Fillmore Center, which is Lynn County, a project between Lynn County and Willis Dady, ultimately houses during the winter months. We haven't even opened that yet in Cedar Rapids. It'll be open when the snow flies, as they say. So I have a lot who are living on the street currently right now. And the problem with housing in Cedar Rapids is it's not existent, in part because so much low-income housing was destroyed in 2008 because of the flood, but then again in 2020 when we had all the derecho. So I think there were 3 apartment complexes that were destroyed in the area that ultimately displaced a significant amount of people. Do you see the line? That's at 8:30 in the morning. That's what starts like every single day. Last week, I had a day where there was 525 people there in 3 hours. I know. By the time I am always amazed by it. But the funny thing is that there's always just enough, which you guys get. We had close to 40,000 visitors in 2021. Okay. That when I count visitors, that's people who actually came to and walked through our program, not all of our programs, our food pantry, our clothing closet, or our kitchen pantry, or to see our parish nurse. Okay, so some people we're lucky enough to be able to have a parish nurse, for example, which I'll explain to you in a little bit. And there are a lot of clients, especially the displaced or the transient homeless population who don't have a nurse, will come in when they have frostbite, when they need their blood pressure checked, those sorts of things. 78% of the people we see have minor children in their households. I know. I look at this data every month and I am astounded. I mean, here's part of the reason, is one of the reasons why I like to do these talks and talking to different people is because it breaks barriers and it breaks perceptions. So many times when I go and talk to people, the thing they think about when they think of people needing food is a single Black mom with 3 kids. Okay? That's just the perception that people have. And it is absolutely not that. It is absolutely not that. And so it's really important for me to tell people, for example, about the growing need of people over 60 years of age who don't have access to healthy food. Because when, for whatever political reasons, in about 2000 or 2021, 16, somewhere between 16 and 20, there's a lot of seniors who, if they were disabled, government said you can only get 1 welfare insurance. So they gave people disability, but they stopped giving them food stamps. So the average person on disability now makes less than $800 a month. And I challenge people, whoa, if you're still paying a house payment, if you have to pay rent, if you have high medical, high anything, it's astounding. So I'm grateful that we're getting more of the people that need it, that don't fit just that family sort of category, and they're coming. And it's really funny because I'll have one senior bring another senior, and next thing I know, I have 3 seniors who are coming together because they are realizing that this is a need, and it's really important for them to advocate for themselves. We have a clothing closet. Unlike Goodwill, we give clothing away free. So if you donated to me a pair of boots, I would put them out, and those boots would go to somebody who needed them. We had over 10,000 receipts, and I would say that's only probably about 1/3 of the number of donations we get a year. Because there's most people anymore don't want a receipt, because unless you itemize and you donate a lot, then it's there. Tell you a story. So I have this, I love this woman to death. She's probably a little bit younger than I am. But early 50s at least. And her name's Lorianne. And Lorianne lives on the streets, or has lived on the streets for a significant amount of time. She came up to me this summer and she gave me a pair of tennis shoes. And I'm like, Lorianne, do you need to give these to me? She said, Julie, I have a pair already. I want you to give it to somebody who really needs it. I know. She even gave me a quarter she found off the streets. Why? Because she didn't need it, and she knows there's people who need stuff worse than she does. This is the mission nurse. We have basically a parish nurse. Originally, it was sponsored by Mercy Medical Center, but about 4 years ago, they had to cut that program. And so we decided to keep the person. Kathy knows everybody, and she knows them by name. She is so important to what we do because she can avert a health catastrophe in a moment's notice. I've seen her take somebody's blood pressure, and then the next thing she's doing is she's calling an ambulance because we really need to get this person to the hospital. She works about 3 days a week, and everybody kind of knows her schedule. She's there usually Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, occasionally she'll once or twice a month, she'll work a Saturday just to make sure she catches those clients as well. And priceless, just absolutely priceless. On her little stand, she also has a little box, and it's her prayer box. And she will have people say, hey, if they need anything, a special intercession, a special prayer for somebody, they can anonymously put it in there. And, you know, that's pretty awesome, quite frankly. We have community gardens. Community gardens, basically, in our community gardens, we have currently 42 plots. They're not just Olivets though. So if I have a couple neighbors come in, this year I have, and because Cedar Rapids has gotten an influx of immigrants from the Togo and the Congo in those different areas. And so they're learning to basically grow the stuff that for their families that they need to. So it's a lot of fun because, like, I learned, for example, that Joserine is one of the immigrants who came from, I think she's one of the ones who's from Congo. They actually eat the pumpkin leaves. Do you guys know that? Pumpkin, yeah. So we grow pumpkins for pie and for those sorts of things, but nope, so she had these beautiful pumpkins, and she would come in with the big leaves that they have. And so she's been teaching all of us how to cook these sorts of things and make use of them. We found we're able to get from the seed savers some white eggplant. And which is hard to find those seeds around here, but she grew these little minuscule little white eggplants and taught us all how to cook those. And quite frankly, I like them 10 times better than the purple. Olivet also has youth programs. I don't know, many of you guys know about the northwest side of town in Cedar Rapids, but it's an old community. I will give the Olivet Presbyterian Church some credit. They, in the 1990s, had 15 acres worth of land off Edgewood Road. They chose not to build. They chose to stay in the neighborhood because they wanted to serve the neighborhood. Because somebody was wise enough to realize that in 30 years, the next generation, that was going to be a community in which needed stable organizations to be in the neighborhood to support them. So they chose to stay. And like many churches, they've had some difficulties because of COVID and stuff and older membership, but the mission on the other hand has been between the two of them, we've become a staple in our community. Any of you guys ever been in real inner city, seen inner city poverty? That's about what we have down there. It's very inner city, very probably the poorest of the poor in our community. And it is all over the place with regards to race and ethnicity. So that's one of the reasons why it makes it it's a very unique place. But one of the things we have are the youth programs. So we have an Olivet Head Start program, and basically they have half of our building. There are 2 classrooms, and they have been functioning. They were functioning during COVID, and right now they're certified for 16 each in each classroom, 3 to 5. Probably next year they're going to switch and have early Head Start, which will include a 2-year-old classroom. The big deal is that this is the only Head Start program on the northwest side of Cedar Rapids. We have a Boys and Girls Club. Sorry, I don't have any pictures of the club, but you know how it is can't necessarily show you all the pictures of the kids and stuff. This is of Christmas time and a donor that was making some donations to the program. There are up to, this was the only program in Cedar Rapids of Boys and Girls Club that did not close during COVID, which is quite amazing to me. But part of the reason is because the on-site supervisor, Taryn, was fanatical about cleaning. And the kids all wore masks. But it was beautiful because the kids still had some place to go. Okay. And when some of them needed help, for example, with their homework, they were there. When some of them needed to actually, because Cedar Rapids does not have it on all quadrants of Cedar Rapids where low-income households can get internet for the kids. And I don't know, Cedar Rapids is also, if you're in part of the Cedar Rapids school system, you have to have, they use iPads. So you got to have internet. So that's the reason why it was really important that our program was open so that ultimately those kids could come, you know, sit at a table, two at a table, all over the place and do their homework so they didn't fall behind. We have a huge holiday adoption program. And it's multifaceted. One, we serve seniors. Another one, we will families with kids under 15 years of age. We also try to get, every year there's somebody who has a different request, needs something. And so we try to accommodate them. It's an interesting sort of thing because it is one of those things where I will see a miracle every single Christmas that happens. And it'll bring all of us to tears because it'll be somebody comes in and, oh my gosh, my wife just died. How many times I heard that during COVID. And we never got around to buying any presents. Okay. It's amazing. People just stepped up. All you had to do was ask. And so one of my things about for my own position is that we ultimately, I see these miracles every single day. And I don't take them lightly. But more than the sum of the programs, okay? More than anything. Olivet Neighborhood mission's about relationships, okay? It's about willing to walk through something with another person, maybe even somebody who's ultimately a stranger to you. There's not a day that goes by that somebody doesn't ask me and they come with tears and I will look at them and they're like, I just need a hug. All right, come on. I'll give you that hug. So it's all about relationships. But the greatest thing is this place is joyful. Seriously. And I've had people tell me it's a joyful place to be. And most people will tell you that, oh no, you go to a food pantry and everybody's walking like this, like, oh goodness, I have the weight of the world on me. Life is really hard and really bad. I would say 9 times out of 10, people who come and visit us, they do it because we're a community face. One, we acknowledge them and we see them. And there is nothing better than that when we're interacting with people. So I work with some superheroes. And my superheroes are my staff. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about those staff because I know that every one of you are going to appreciate this probably more than anything. The picture there is from Christmas last year where we all kind of got together. There are people who are missing. I have a whole lot of new people. God's brought me, this is ironic. So I have a lot of French speakers and Spanish speakers. Okay. I don't speak either. And one of the things I kept on saying is, God, please bring me a French speaker. Please. He brought me a French speaker who's only been in the United States a couple of years. She's originally from the Republic of Togo. She's been a US citizen for a year. Her name is Oye, and she is seriously one of those people, when you see her, you'll go, oh, yay, because you're so excited to see her. She's this petite woman she reminds me all the time to expect the miracles. Okay. I will pray for a miracle. And the other day she said to me, she says, Julie, just expect them. God's going to bring them. All right. So I'm going to show you a couple pictures. Okay. Are my staff. So the lady in the middle, her name is, yes, she is dressed up over her. One of the ways we make joyful is whenever we get some interesting sort of clothing in, we'll dress up. It's rather entertaining. So Yolanda is the middle young lady. She's in her 40s. Yolanda and I have become pretty decent friends. Yolanda, last year, I watched this woman wash the feet of a homeless guy and put brand new socks on him. There was not a dry eye in the room, because she took the time to see this homeless man. His name was James. And he says, I really could use some new socks. But then when she took his socks off, because he needed his feet washed, and she did it. That's who I get to work with. The person next to her is my parish nurse. She's my volunteer coordinator. She has a sweet, laugh like nothing else. And she has a way with those people who probably who are currently not feeling really well with regards to dealing with some mental health issues. She has this really quiet, soft way about her that allows her to calm somebody down. Do you see the next one? That's Oye. This guy is Wes. Wes is my driver, and he is originally he's from Cedar Rapids, but he came from Louisiana. Wes calls everyone, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. He's priceless again. I mean, the things that he has a soft heart for those people who are homeless. Definitely has a soft heart. And the last one is my friend Barbara. And Barbara just has a lovely, wonderful way about her as well. Great with some of the older folks who come in. These are some of my volunteers. The guy in the green hat has been a volunteer at Olivet Neighborhood Commission for over 30 years. The middle one, Andy, is my gardener. Wearing the crazy donut is Joanne. And then there's a group of a lot of my Thursday ones. These are the people that if I were to tell you, they're the ones who make the difference every single day. Okay. They're the ones who see the people. They are the ones who interact with them. I will tell you point blank, I open the door, unlock the door, and let these good people do what they need to do, what God calls them to do. This is how you guys have helped us. This is Duratio. We were without power for 10 days, but we got a generator, and we did not lose a single thing from our commercial refrigerators and freezers. Nothing, which was huge. the northwest side of town. Marion and the west side of town are the sides of town that were affected the greatest. So as you see, see the big trees? Those trees all fell into the garden. We had 26 plots at the time, and those 26 plots, other than maybe 8 of them, all of them were destroyed, damaged. We had one of those, what do you call them? We had a noxious tree fall and explode in it on the gardens. It was horrible because you couldn't chainsaw through it. We had to drag it all out. That was lots of fun. Whoops. So there's a generator. I mean, it was like being in a war zone. It really, really, truly was. Across First Avenue, there were a lot of down lines. There was, we all had to take scenic route to get to work. And even though, like I said, we had no power and electricity, we ran the food pantry still and the clothing closet because people were in need. And we just didn't turn on our overhead lights. We just used the generator to run the refrigerators and the freezers. And we kept no data for that. And I didn't care if you showed up, you got something to eat. I mean, that's just the way it was. We didn't care if what. So this is how your fundraising helped. Now look at it. We were able to build 46 total plots. And that was pretty significant because the thing is that wood was really expensive when we went to go about getting the wood and the soil and all that sort of stuff. As you can see, there's very few trees now anywhere in our neighborhood. This is a group from Montmorency University who helped us. I don't know how to tell you this, but the Catholic community in general has really, really hugged on Cedar Rapids between you guys and Montmorency. And it's been amazing. And I quite frankly, being raised Catholic and all those sorts of things, it was lovely to see because it was our faith was in action. This is this summer. Lots of green, lots of tomatoes. All right. This is the next project you guys are helping me with. We're going to launch this. I am so excited about this. This has been a pet project, something that I've wanted to do for a long time. We have a growing number of seniors. You know what Meals on Wheels is, right? Right? Okay, Meals on Wheels basically is a Horizons and a Heritage Agency on Aging project. And what it does is basically gets meals in the place of anybody who is homebound and unable. The thing is though, there's a lot of homebound that want to cook still, a lot. And we discovered that during COVID. Before grocery, before you had Hy-Vee aisles and all that sort of stuff, and people could get stuff delivered to their doorstep during COVID, it became really, really pronounced that there were a lot of seniors living or a lot of disabled people living in their homes who still wanted to cook. For example, I can tell you, I can tell you 15 people I know who come to Olivet, and the way we currently help them is they pull up and we tell them what we got and we'll get it to their cars. But we're just not, Olivet's not set up because of the 500 plus people that we see a day. It's our parking lot is, I think Mary Ellen could say, don't park in Olivet's. Don't park there, don't park there. Because it's coming and going and coming and going and all that sort of stuff. So this is the beginning of the form. This is all I have for you because I don't have any pictures yet. But the gist of the program is going to be that there is a platform called Unite Us that the Lynn County in general is going to participate in. And of this, there are 67 nonprofit organizations. Many of us already serve people who are either disabled or are seniors. And in food, using food stuff, that's 60 and over. But the thing is that we needed to figure out a way in which we can qualify everybody. So we're using this platform, Unite Us. So let's say if you work for the Catherine McCauley House, okay? Or if you work for Willis Beatty, or any of the other many nonprofits that are in Cedar Rapids, and you come across somebody who says, boy, I would really like to, they identify a barrier if I'd really like to get groceries a little bit more often because I'd really like to be able to cook more. So ultimately what this does, it's agency referred, it will come to us through Unite Us and we will fulfill all of the food sources, get it delivery. It's a great partnership with DoorDash too. DoorDash has a project in which they are wanting to help local nonprofits with food scarcity. And so they're going to be part of this initial pilot and jumping off in terms of helping us get the food delivered to the people who are in need of it. And this is our next chapter. We're going to do an expansion. This is kind of exciting for us because, like I said, we're in 25. We basically, the food pantry runs out of 2,500 square feet. That's not a whole lot, okay? So by the time we get done, we will have twice the area plus 2 new Head Start classrooms. So it's pretty fantastic, quite frankly. It's just our next chapter to be able to help and be able to help even more in Cedar Rapids. So. And that's my message. It really does take all the prayers, all the funding, and everlasting faithfulness to be able to do this together. So. Anybody have any questions for me?
Sure. It's hard to imagine the footage that you were talking about, you know, in your food pantries. So if it would be this room, about how much of this room would be your food pantry?
Those 2 rows. Or these 2 rows. Yes.
Okay. Okay, to the doors right there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Those gardens, are those individual families or who has one of those plots?
Let's see, Olivet had 12 this year.
So you
And-
grow together. It's
We grow them
not,
together. That's exactly right. So there were, what's it make? We had 12 of them and the rest of them families had. The Boys and Girls Club, they work with the Master Gardeners because we have a program with them and they have 3 plots. So they grew tomatoes, onions and green peppers. So they figured out how to make salsa this fall.
so you had to work together so that you had all different types of vegetables or how was that?
Everybody kind of has their own sort of specialty. Like I said, the couple of the African families, for example, grew a lot of things that were like I've never seen okra, so much okra this past year. And did you guys know that the okra has the most beautiful plant, the beautiful flower on it? If you've never seen it, look it up. It is truly amazing. It's this pale yellow bloom that is just totally gorgeous. So every family does. And then so like on the 12 ones of them that we had, we had 12 there, and then we had a 28 by 36 plot of open land where we did potatoes and onions and those sorts of things that are late fall. So we're almost done with that. What we do with those is ultimately we will dig them all up in there. It's to go into our, to whoever needs it. So.
With everything that you do, you must have volunteers.
About 48 of them.
Wow, great.
They're priceless. They are totally priceless.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sister Lucille.
I think it's kind of interesting that in 2008, when we had the big flood to which you referred, there was an active pastor at Olivet Church at that time, and her place where she lived got totally flooded out.
Yes.
So she came and lived at Prairie Woods for months until she could get back to her place. I always think that's a nice connection that we had way back.
Yeah. I didn't know
Mhm.
that.
Are there other agencies in Cedar Rapids area helping with this project?
There are so many partnerships that we have. There are probably 4 other food pantries in Cedar Rapids of any size. Okay, one of them is Metro Catholic. One is Lynn Community, which is First Pres downtown. And one other besides Olivet, one of the other ones will be Together We Achieve. Okay. But the thing is we can't do it without, so it's like, it's kind of interesting because any of us who work with the poorest of the poor, if I get a surplus of something, I will obviously, I will call the Access Center, for example, and say, hey, I got 55 winter coats. Do you need a couple? Okay. Or if I have a whole bunch of sweatshirts that come in, same sort of stuff. Because the one thing that's since I'm from Cedar Rapids, I'm well connected in Cedar Rapids. And so people will oftentimes say, hey, Julie, do you need this? Do you need that? I will go home many days and there will be donated clothing and food on my doorstep, which I'm like, hey, and most of the time people will usually fess up. They'll text me or call me and say, hey, I left your stuff.
Go ahead, Sister Joanne.
Yes, I'd like Nancy Schimper, she does a lot for Olivet. So Nancy, would you talk about
Hi,
the Christmas
Nancy.
thing and all the other things you do?
I am so excited for the Christmas Adopt a Family. Haven't asked staff if they want to do it yet, but they're always on board. We love doing that. And you're doing amazing things for Olivet. You know how I feel.
Nancy is my secret shopper. So Nancy that's why I call her. So Nancy will go and find the best deals and she'll say, hey, Julie, I got a dozen things of peanut butter. I only paid $5 for them. Well, she'll bring me brand new boots and say, hey, I found these for $1.50. I'm like,
Love
amazing.
it.
So yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Nancy.
You're
And
welcome.
she's the greatest coupon user I've ever known.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Rita.
You're welcome, Lance.
I love it. And there's such a need. So, and my son, Nate, he's gotten into finding the deals with me and going down to do the deliveries. And it's teaching him so much too.
Yes.
it's not about us.
No.
Yep. So, yep, we love it. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome. Congratulations.
Any final questions for Julie? We have one here at St. Rose. If there are any at the villa, Lynn, just feel free to put them in the chat or they can unmute.
I was just looking at that last part of your printing up there. In believing good can happen. In believing good can happen if we work together. I wondered if you want to just unpack a bit. What does "if we work together" look like?
I think it
You
has
know?
more to do with this crazy world and the state that this crazy world is. And I have seen so many people choose. I mean, and that's just it. That's what the if is. You have to choose to want to work together. We have to decide to let the differences are differences. And that's one of the things that's really big at Olivet. You have to love your neighbor right where they're at. You have to. Because there is no way you can do this work. And so I just, which is one of the things I really wish that more of the world would choose to do that. I'm lucky because I see it all the time, but not everybody sees it all the time like I do. I see these miracles every single day, okay? Somebody will come in and say, I need a 3X winter coat and a hat, and my favorite color is blue. Okay. Next thing I know, it comes in the back door. And all I can do is say, nothing else but the Holy Spirit working here. Okay. And that's why my staff and my volunteers are so special, because they believe. And if you have that many people believing in good, wow, no wonder there's good things happening there. You didn't ask me one question that I thought was interested in. Nobody asked me, where do you get the food? Anybody curious? Are you curious? Okay.
We get them from Nancy's coupons.
Not all of it.
All right, this is the process of how the food pantry works. Yes, the food pantry. Did you know that Feeding America is the gatekeeper for all the food stuff here in the United States? Did you know that? They are, okay? So they're kind of like, think of the National Habitat for Humanity office in Georgia, okay? The home office, okay? Feeding America is the place where so I have a partnership with HACAP, which takes care of the 7 counties around us. Lynn, Johnson, Jones, I don't know how far they go down, Benton County, those sorts of things. What ends up happening is, this is the one thing that a lot of times people, and this is the reason why food pantries are having a lot of trouble right now. We purchase a lot of food. Here's the thing. Stuff can come from Feeding America, and it comes down through and can be distributed across each state and into the different counties. That is where your that's where your pork mitigation went to. Do you remember when we had the pork mitigation about 3 or 4 years previous to COVID? There was a huge pork mitigation. The reason why the pork mitigation, the government bought out the pork. They took some of that pork. It went to USDA that USDA stuff went Feeding to America and got distributed across. We have no mitigations or anything going on now. The only thing on our list right now that's USDA is raisins. So I get a list every week, okay, of the things that I can get from HACAP. From my stuff from HACAP, there's local donated. Local donated stuff is going to be free. So in Cedar Rapids, the two big industries that are food industries are what? And General Mills. So guess what we have an abundance from? Lots of cereal. We usually have no problem getting cereal. Then we have those things that HACAP will go and they will purchase, but they are not always healthy for the people. Sometimes they are not. Sometimes it's cheaper for me to go to one of my local retailers and buy from them. Okay, that's the reason why. So we have to buy a lot of food. And it's one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is that the food, we're not just distributing food that people donated. And part of that reason that why we don't is because if that were the case, guess what they would be eating? No, they'd be eating cookies with a shelf life of 2.5 years. They would be eating lots of cereal, granola bars, all those sorts of things. That is why you guys' money for this homebound seniors is so important, because some of that money is going to be used so that if I don't get those vegetables that these seniors need, I can go and purchase them. And I wanted you to know that. Okay? This money that you donated is not going to cover my salary, not going to cover anybody's salary. It's for the program to purchase food. 100% of it. And that's why it's priceless. And that's why I really appreciate the fact that you guys believed in Olivet Neighborhood Mission enough to know that use it well. And we're going to make sure those seniors have the vegetables and those sorts of things, and the milk if they need it, those sorts of things that they need to be healthy. Any other questions?
Do the parishes still take gathering of foods and so on? Yes.
Yes, during COVID, there's a lot of the parishes in the Cedar Rapids area that I know of that, and not just the Catholic churches,
No.
but also, I mean, a lot of the churches, regardless of denominations, have been. I have 2 or 3 churches that are going to do holiday foods for us. So, which is great because ultimately, you know, that green bean casserole, how many of you guys love that? That's like my favorite. But you know what you have to have on it? The crispy onions, right? Right? Right. That's what makes it. So it's those are those things that those parishes, when they ask us what they can do to help, those are the things that I'll say, hey, I can get the green beans. You bring the cream of mushroom soup and the other stuff, and we're good.
All right. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Mary Ellen, for coming and presenting. Thank you, everyone, for attending. The presentation is recorded. It will be made available to sisters, affiliates, and staff for future viewing. Thank you.